Hi, Roy here, and welcome again to another edition of the Right Has a Left podcast. I am your host, Roy Garden, and as we do on these podcasts, each and every week we talk all things Trumpism, and I try to hold off on tapings of these podcasts on a Saturday until I get all of the late breaking news that is going on in this world of ours, and today is no exception. As we have just found out about what's going on with these peace talks, and the White House has confirmed that peace talks are happening this particular time face to face. J.D. Vance, of course, is spearheading these peace talks. Trump sent him over there to Pakistan to kind of make sure things are all going to be done right, in Trump's opinion. And face-to-face is something that's unique because the others weren't really done that way. And the White House, as I did mention, just confirmed that just late Friday night and into Saturday morning. And these negotiations are going on between the United States and Iran currently in Iseral-US-Iran. And the meeting today marks the highest level direct engagement between the White House in Washington and Tehran in decades. The core U.S. delegation is led by Vice President J.D. Vance, as I just mentioned, alongside Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, supported by senior advisors including Dr. Andrew Baker and Michael Vance. Now, these high-stakes diplomatic summits facilitated by Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Chief of Army Staff Azim Munir aims to secure a peace agreement to the end of weeks-long conflict. Now, the White House also confirmed that a full suite of U.S. experts on relevant subject areas are present in Islamabad, and additional experts are supporting them from Washington as well. So this is a pretty significant breaking news. And like I said, this just happened this morning. And to get this far and to see if perhaps maybe something can be done with Iran, and Iran is willing to just bend a little bit, well, as I just mentioned, that is pretty good news. Now, the peace talks, as I just mentioned, between J.D. Vance and the Pakistani Prime Minister is unique because Pakistan has been really good in facilitating these talks in the Gulf region, and they're also pretty neutral. When the U.S. has done something that Pakistan says BS, they've called the United States out on it, especially with Donald Trump. If Iran has done something, they've done the same thing. So it's pretty significant that we've got these kinds of peace talks going on. And to me, it just makes me pretty happy that we've got these things going on. Now, the Gulf region has experienced a significant lull in hostilities, other than, they've been kind of shelling Lebanon, but that's even kind of dropped off now, and so has Israel kind of pulled back just a little bit. There have been no strikes reported as of Saturday, and that is the day that I tape these, and that's pretty good as well. Now, as I said, these negotiations are continuing, and this has been a relative calm, and that this has been the first time there's actually been any kind of calm at all as far as the peace agreements has been going on. And so far, they're going for a 2-week ceasefire, and that went into effect, as I said, this past Tuesday. However, there has been little interruptions at those with some shelling in Lebanon and Israel, doing the same thing. That has stopped. So to get these negotiations going, so perhaps, maybe for the first time, something might actually be working. As you know, the whole area has been gripped since the 20th of February. Now, the White House also stated that United States ships are now entering the Straits of Hormuz, carrying any mines that Iran may have placed to open up the shipping lanes. Donald Trump just announced that, and that they now have U.S. ships in the Strait of Hormuz looking to see if there are any mines. Iran has claimed that there are no, mines in the area, even though they previously announced that there was. And so far, the Navy that has been doing this mine sweeping said they have not found any mines as of yet. Now, this is, again, unique. And the fact of the matter is that perhaps, maybe for the first time, the Strait of Hormuz might actually be getting to the point to where it will be opened up for shipping oil through. Now, some other breaking news here, and again, this is Donald Trump doing what he always does best. He announced this morning that massive numbers of empty tankers are headed to the United States to stock up on oil and gas as Iran continues to restrict movement in the Strait of Hormuz. Massive numbers, this is of course how Trump talks, of completely empty oil tankers, some of the largest anywhere in the world, are heading right now to the United States to load up with the best and sweetest oil and gas anywhere in the world, Trump wrote on Truth Social. We have more oil than the next two largest oil economies combined, and higher quality, he continued, and we are waiting for you. Quick turnaround. The post came as United States and Iranian delegations were meeting with Pakistani mediators in Islamabad for indirect negotiations aimed at hashing out longer-term agreements to end the 6-week conflict in the Middle East. The talks come just days after Trump announced a 2-week ceasefire in which the United States agreed to pause strikes on the condition that Tehran reopen the Strait of Hormuz, a vital oil shipping channel that carries roughly 20% of the world's oil supply, which has been largely closed since the war began on February 28th. Now, again, this is bizarre because when J.D. Vance goes over there and tries to negotiate something, and you always kind of leave it to Trump to come back and perhaps screw things up. And I'm not saying this will screw things up, but Trump, he's up in the middle of the night posting this stuff on Truth Social. A lot of it doesn't make any sense. And now he's saying that we have got so much freaking oil over here that we're going to fill up the tankers. So if that is the case, Mr. President, why is gas over $4 a gallon? And we got the best and the sweetest oil anywhere. Now, it is true, and again, I'm not an idiot here. I've got my bachelor's degree in entrepreneurship and business. I understand that since 20% of the oil comes through the Strait of Hormuz, that has a huge impact and the volatility of the oil in the world, and therefore gas prices are going up. But I'm just saying, he has not released any of the United States reserves on oil, and yet he's willing to have all of those tankers come over here and go to our Gulf and fill up with all the gas and oil that we have in the world to spare. Again, this is their main reason. And why we were attacking Iran? Yeah, maybe because of the Ayatollah over there, and yeah, maybe they've got uranium, and we don't want to have an atomic weapon. But again, it boils down to the oil. Trump has just come right out and said that time after time. It's the oil. We want Iranian oil. We want Venezuela oil. We want to get rich. I am going to figure out a way to put that into my own pockets as I sit here as your president. The Trump family is going to get wealthier and wealthier. You can't tell me that's not true. It is, folks. I mean, you just got to read between the lines. That's what it is. Now, President Trump also said on Wednesday he is considering the formation of a joint venture with Iran to set up tolls in the Strait of Hormuz after the Trump administration and Iran agreed to a 2-week ceasefire deal. Gee, let's make some more money. So, Iran charges $10 per oil surtax to go through the Strait of Hormuz, just like a toll, bridge, per se. President Trump wants some of that money, too. So, again, there's no agreement between Iran and the United States to do this type of joint venture. This is just Trump talking. Iran has not had any say-so and say, we're not going to do that with you. But again, I suppose they might be chatting about it. Who knows? But so the joint venture was not part of the Iranians' 10-point peace plan that the United States proposed to them a week ago before we got back into this face-to-face talk. Things broke off and now we're chatting again. So Trump wrote on Truth Social that there was a big money to be made by the United States or by Donald Trump. Yeah, well, let's make sure that we've got that straight. So, and we'll be loading up with supplies of all kinds, just hanging around in order to make sure that everything goes well, he wrote. I feel confident that it will. The president also suggested Monday that the United States could impose its own tolls on vessels trying to transit through the Hormuz Channel. Leaders in Iran signaled last week it would install a toll booth system to exert a price on ships seeking safe passage through the strait. The Islamic Republic's previous proposal to toll vessels drew criticism from Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He blasted that potential system as illegal. However, if Donald Trump gets involved with it and the United States gets involved with it, well, that'll be legal. That'll be okay. So, it's but if the United States led this, it would all be just fine if we were able to do that. So, there you go. If the United States can get involved with doing tolls, it's just fine. But if Iran tries to do the tolls things, well, that's highly illegal. But if the U.S. can get involved with it or have a joint venture, then it's just fine. All right. So take it for what it's worth. Trump took this deal as he needed a way out, pure and simple. He just really had no other option. He's trying to get out of this war with Iran. He knows it's bringing his poll numbers down. He knows that the American people overall are not happy with this. He knows that Congress is pissed as hell at him over this war, and he wants to bring it to a close. And as you know, he became unhinged this past weekend, especially during Easter. And this is where I want to go with this show a little bit, is kind of back up to last Sunday and what has led up to where we are right now with a more calmer and civilized, perhaps, negotiation on the table with Pakistan acting as our mediator than when we had the thing first kind of break down and Donald Trump just went through the roof. He, as you're well aware of, he said blowing up Iran as he wanted to do had been catastrophic for the United States and for the Republican Party. And 2 weeks ago, the ceasefire holding by both sides was very weak and skeptical, especially with Israel, going off and bombing Lebanon, which Iran didn't want them to do. And so, and the president was made aware of some of those things that were going on before he came to a podium, that he made a speech, and he said it was completely unacceptable. And again, this is a case of what they were saying publicly was different when I said privately. And, Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, was talking to reporters, and she said we had seen an uptick in traffic on the strait today. President Trump announced a ceasefire deal with Iran, and he thought things were going well until, they got upset about what was going on over in the other side of the country there, so in Lebanon. So he got very upset, and I'm sure most of you seen, as I got on the screen here, this Easter post where he dropped the F-bomb. This is the most holiest of days for people who are Christian, evangelicals or whatever, Easter Sunday. And what does Trump do? He lays in bed and shoots his mouth off and puts up this post that you're seeing here. And that post, and everybody agrees, was the most disgusting thing that I have ever seen any human being, be it a president of the United States, put up. And of course, he got a pass by most people who said, well, that's just Donald Trump, he's just upset, let it go, so he dropped a few F-bombs and, so he wants to blow up Iran and kill everybody there. That's just Donald Trump, so it's okay, So, when he came and did that press conference, and I have a little clip here, which I'm going to show you in just a second. When he had Pete Hegsetch up there, and he talking about basically how the United States rescued that airman, and that was a wonderful thing. I have no qualms about that. I was glad that he got picked up and rescued. But again, it was all based on you guys are doing all this stuff. So where are we going to end this thing? You guys have gone on and on. You want to ask Congress for billions or more, trillions of more dollars for the war effort and for the Department of War or Defense, however you want to look at it. Yet we just simply want to know where we coming to an end on this, and that's what the world wants to know. That's what the United States people want to know, and they couldn't come up with an answer. Trump has said, "Well, it can go 2 weeks, 2 months. I don't know. We just got to get them to not have nuclear uranium, and we'll be just fine. And we got to get that Strait of Hormuz opened up." So. Again, oil prices have come down a little bit with all of this positive negotiations going on. It's going to take forever to get it back to $2.80 a gallon where it used to be, though. So don't expect miracles. You're probably not going to see $2.80 in gallon for a long time, even if it does come to an end. And as you know, inflation is now up over 3%, which we just had a report on. All because of this stupid war. So, and the American people are paying the brunt of it, as is everybody else in the world. So, this news conference is that he had this past week. It was great that we got our airmen rescued. We got them both back on U.S. soil, but they had no things about how things are going to, how it was going to end. So. That quote by Donald Trump on Sunday, and then you just saw the other one about where he is going to sell U.S. oil to the tankers, and they're going to come over here to the United States and fill up. And then he had another post, about blowing up their infrastructure and everything else, and killing. If we got to kill everybody in Iran, so be it. And so we've got to take down their power plants and he just went on and on and on. Nobody could figure out what the heck he was talking about. Now going back to Easter, I told you about his little post there, and then he was talking to the press there about when the thing was going to come to an end. He was just talking about all sorts of things, and even at the Easter egg roll, they asked Melania what she thought about all this, and she said the war is for the people of Iran and for the children of Iran. Watch this little clip.
Well, all of this is happening for their future, so they will be safe in years to come.
We're fighting for our children that are now in a war zone. We're keeping them as safe as we can possibly keep them. But we're fighting for their parents, their grandparents. We're fighting for them. We're fighting for their future. And I will tell you, it was given to me loud and clear. The time the Iranian people are the most unhappy when you hear bombs all over is when those bombs stop.
Now, if you think that was, unusual, here's the most bizarre thing about this Easter egg roll. Now, every year, the White House does the Easter egg roll for the children, all right, around the Washington, D.C. area, the congressional delegations, children, et cetera, et cetera. It's supposed to be a fun event. Of course, we all started out with that ridiculous, Easter Day post by Trump. And then he is talking to 5- and 6-year-old kids who really could care less about the politics of the Republican Party or of the Democratic Party. They are there to meet the Easter Bunny and have fun. So what does Donald Trump does? He sits down with his kids and starts talking about this.
Would use the auto pen. You'd have an auto pen following Joe Biden. He didn't sign. He was incapable of signing his name. So they'd follow him around with this big machine. You know what it was called? An auto pen. And he'd have the auto pen sign for him. He'd take the paper, hand it to his guys, they'd sign it with an auto pen, give it back. Not too big, right? Better to sign it.
President Trump.
Okay, that's the fake news.
I made Air Force.
Who likes the fake news?
Now, this the post by Donald Trump and what he said over the Easter break, even the most loyal Republicans got very upset about it. Marjorie Taylor Greene was on the news, but so was this guy, Tucker Carlson. Yeah, Tucker Carlson. I can't even talk. But yeah, Tucker Carlson, he's one of the most conservative pundits for Donald Trump and usually is a pretty good yes man for him. But not this time, no. he tore into Donald Trump this past Monday night, calling the Easter Sunday social media post from the United States president vile on every level and accusing him of threatening to commit a war crimes act. He says, "How dare you speak that way on Easter morning to the country?" Carlson said in a monologue on his podcast, "Who the hell do you think you are? You're tweeting out the F word on Easter morning on Sunday, a major Christian holiday." Trump posted, of course, as you saw, I posted that. Then I'm not going to go into it again. You can read it for yourself. And of course, he goes, be power plant day, a bridge day, all wrapped up in one. We're just going to blow the hell out of everything, you crazy little bastards. You saw the post. This is, honest to God, the president of the United States is posting this stuff. I don't know if he's just getting too stressed out or what's going on with him, but to have Tucker Carlson say something like that, former Fox News contributor and everything else, Mr. Conservative, to say something like that, he is pissing people off. So, you know what? That's not the only thing. The other person that's getting involved, and where, again, you will not believe our own people in the White House, the Pope, of all holiest of holiest days, Easter Sunday, Pope Leo, all right? He as any Christian would do, they're saying they're praying for peace and that, the children can be saved and that we can stop this thing. That's what true Christians do. They want peace. Jesus Christ was a speaker of peace. And you know what they do? J.D. Vance and Pete Hegsetch, Pete Hegsetch, he tears in to the Pope and tells him, "You better get in line." And of course, the Pope was scheduled to come to the United States for a papal visit, and he canceled that after that sordid remark. Pete Hegsetch is Mr. Macho Man War, blow up everything. I love war. I sleep with war. I talk about war 24/7. I want war, war, war. And of course, the Pope on Easter Sunday, a religious holiday, prays for peace. And he tells the United States to pray for peace. And Pete Hegsetch would have nothing of it. So he goes on and just has a rant and rave about it. And so the relationships between the United States and the Catholic Church, specifically Rome, have not been the same since January, when senior U.S. defense officials shared an abrasive message with a Vatican official. And of course, days after Pope Leo delivered his State of the World speech, Undersecretary of Defense for Policy Elbridge Colby summoned Cardinal Christopher Pierre, the Vatican's U.S. representative, to a closed-door Pentagon meeting for a bitter lecture. And so Pete Hegsetch echoed those same remarks. Okay, and according to a blistering news report by the Free Press, the military power has the right to do whatever the hell it wants in the world. The Catholic Church had better take its side. The U.S. official present at the meeting, brought up by the Avignon papacy, a period in the 14th century in which the French monarch had bent the Catholic Church into submission, ordering an attack on Pope Boniface VII that led to his downfall and subsequent death, and forcing the papacy to relocate from Rome to Avignon. This all goes back in history, okay? That's what they were trying to say, So the Trump administration had taken issue with the Pope's critique of its militaristic history. The church does believe in peace, not war. And they were trying to go back in history with what I just read there and say the Catholic Church has always had a history of supporting war for the efforts of getting people free. But that's not, again, that's their take and not the Catholic Church. And so they're pretty aggravated by what Pope Leo said. Now, Pope Leo, as you're well aware of, has a little bit of different approach. He is an American. He has a little bit different approach than maybe perhaps previous popes. And he is more of a peaceful, loving pope and the way he supports different facets of what's going on in this world today, maybe than other popes. But anyway, to make a long story short, the U.S. is not happy with the Catholic Church because of Pope Leo's stand. And to tell the Pope, though, you better get you in the church in line or else is not good, all right? And so in other news, as I just stated, there is deflation is up 3% because of the war. It's the highest it has been in a long time. It's 3.3% and was up from 2.4 in February. The monthly rate measured by 0.9% according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And of course, it's all because of oil spiking and because of the war in Iran. That's why inflation is spiking. Gas rose by 21.2% last month, and the consumers are very soured on the economy right now because of what's going on. Even though stocks are mixed, but they are going up a little bit. And so they're still kind of in this wait and see what happens. So that's why, you got to be a little concerned about what's going on with inflation right now. And of course, the Supreme Court is also, having some discussions about whether or not Trump's tariffs are legal. Again, Trump wants to put more tariffs on things because of what's going on in Iran. Now, the other news that's going on here is Melania Trump. Just when they thought the Epstein files was all slowly going away because of the war in Iran and all these other things that Trump's doing to distract people, she comes out with her own press conference and says that she had nothing to do with the Epstein files and didn't know Epstein, didn't know Maxwell, and I want you to know that I'm tired of all this stuff and don't mix me up with this mess because I have nothing to do with it. Now, some people said Trump didn't know she was going to do that. Other people, Trump said, yeah, I knew she was going to have a press conference and I support her in whatever she wants to say. And I know that she was trying to do damage control, but what upset Trump privately was the fact that I just got this crap to go away and you go out there and bring it up again, So, yeah, she is, she's an independent woman, Melania Trump, she has the right to say what she wants to do. And most people think the first ladies are supposed to be submissive little spouses and go around and do charity events and stuff, and that's it. Otherwise, keep your mouth out of politics. Melania Trump, especially in this particular term, has been a little bit more aggressive in the fact of the matter is that she likes to speak up a little bit. You saw that little clip over Easter. She said some things, and whether they actually made sense or not. And then here she's trying to clear her name as well about the Epstein files. And they didn't like that because, of people surrounding the White House because they were trying to get this thing to go away. And now she opened her mouth and it's not going away. So, yeah, poor Melania, she's just trying to do the right thing, and I'm not knocking it. I'm glad to see, whatever you may think of Melania Trump, it's nice that you do have a first lady that can at least have their own mind and say things when they need to say them, and she is one that in fact did. So good for her. That's all I can say. And again, the Epstein files are never going to go away. And again, the victims need to have their day in court, and they need to be able to speak and get before Congress and say what's going to be said. And she kind of agreed to that same point, because when Pam Bondi was in there, she wouldn't even give them the time of day. And as you're well aware of, now that Pam Bondi is no longer in her position, they said that she was scheduled to go back and testify again, and now they said that she doesn't have to. So we'll have to see where that's going to go. Some people said she still needs to, and the chief Republican person in charge of the investigation said no, she doesn't need to. So I'm kind of got mixed feelings on where they're going to go with this, to be honest with you. So I'll be surprised what's going to happen. All right, so basically that's my podcast for today. I really wanted to focus on what was going on with the Iranian peace talks. And so far, it looks like we may have some kind of a deal done here. If it doesn't fall apart, they are working really hard to get things set up here. And perhaps what's going on now with clearing the straits, perhaps tankers will resume there. There's still a lot of bizarre stuff going on. I would say cautiously hold your breath and see what happens here. It looks pretty good today. That's not to say what it's going to look like on Monday or tomorrow, but it looks like with these face-to-face peace talks, perhaps something is going to happen. I can guarantee you this. Nothing's going to happen unless Donald Trump makes a buck off of this some way, somehow. Whether those tankers, in fact, are coming to the U.S. to fill up, I don't know. He said that. The press is still waiting to see. If we've got all this oil that we can sell off to other countries, why is our gas prices here so high? Even though I understand on a world market how oil is so touchy, and the prices have gone up because of the Strait of Hormuz, since 20% of the oil goes through there. But still, if we're so rich in oil and gas, we should be taking care of our own before shipping it off to somebody else. Again, it's Donald Trump wanting to make a buck. Same reason he wants to be involved with the tolls, same reason he opened up a bunch of bank accounts, offshore bank accounts with the Venezuelan oil, and so he can control that. It's all about money for the Trump family, and it's all about what they're going to get out of it. So I don't know, just to hope that we have a good result from this. And then one final note, congratulations to our astronauts returning from the moon. They all got back safely, and now they're getting ready for the next phase. Thank goodness the spacecraft worked well, the chutes all worked open, and they all returned safely. So that is my podcast for this edition of The Right Has Left. Until next time, you all try to have a safe and good week. Take care.